this kind of blew my mind. HUD, Housing and Urban Development, announced yesterday one of the similar reaction that I had of, we were doing that? HUD said they are going to stop the Biden-era policy that allowed illegal aliens to receive government-backed home loans. This ensures HUD resources will go to Americans and Americans only. Bo, first of all, did you know that we were giving money in terms of government-backed home loans to illegals, or at least that that was an option for illegals?
I think they were doing it in Texas and California before this news broke. Yeah, so it's been happening. There were whole developments in Texas that were bought out and given to illegals, home loans. And listen, I love the cancellation. I've been working on my Spanish, and the only thing I have to say, hold on, I've been working on my. The only thing I have to say is adios. You know.
I was half anticipating you blurting out somewhat of a I am here legally, please give me a federal loan, because apparently it might be easier for you to apply if you're an illegal than you're an actual American citizen under the
It'd be pretty hard if I look like this, you know?
administration. There you go. Yeah, you and Kevin wouldn't fare too well. Kevin, so yeah, the crackdown says HUD is going to no longer issue public housing, no access to federal funded shelters, and no FHA loans to illegals. Why do libs think this is a good idea, especially considering we've talked about this a lot? I personally think letting a bunch of illegals from South America come into the country obviously is dangerous from a gang perspective, but just politically speaking, let's just say you have a hardworking Latin American family. Those, I mean, that pretty religious base, a lot of Catholics down there coming to the United States. I don't necessarily know. What I'm trying to say is that the libs betting that those people are going to eventually vote for them in the future, I don't know if that's a good bet. So why is it that libs were trying to push this stuff through?
Well, because they weren't getting the votes from the American citizens as is. So any bet is better than what they currently have. Along with the fact is I mean, who else is going to bring in the smuggled ninja swords? I mean, it's got to be these illegals from the southern border are bringing in those ninja swords so that eventually we can get them over to the UK, and then that's how we're going to start funding Democrat campaigns somehow. No, I'm kidding. But when we look at these, as everything that's going on here, as Bo said, we know that lib states were funding these kinds of things a lot. And it's because just as I mentioned, is they were trying to in any way support people that would have a better chance of voting for them. Veterans who really could use the money, not going to vote for them. The average American who's struggling under their economy, not going to vote for them because they have nothing good to sell.
Yeah. I kind of am curious about both of your just generic thoughts about this. Currently speaking, the American people polling shows are really, really for Doge, right? Having said that, obviously the lib media and the mainstream media and the left has all said, well, this is just terrible that we are firing federal employees. Right now, as it stands, the American people are still behind getting rid of government waste and fraud and abuse and all that sort of stuff. At some point, though, and I'm just curious, Kevin, I'll start with you. Do you think they'll start to wane on that? Like, what is the time frame that the Trump administration has to do all this stuff before the American people, it's not the hottest topic in the world anymore, and they kind of get over the enthusiasm?
I think the average American I think some are already starting to honestly get a little antsy. Many thought that day one Trump would come in and the cost of their eggs, the cost of their gas, cost of everything would go down. And while in some sectors of America, parts of the economy is slowly recuperating, they're expecting a lot more, a lot quicker than it can happen. And so assuming that people get better tax breaks earlier on, I think many are getting antsy. But the fortunate thing about it is that Trump still has 3 years and 10 months left. So it doesn't matter necessarily. The American people can get a little bit fed up, but worst case scenario, he's got time to make sure these promises are kept.
Yeah, we will see if the American people can hold to that. Bo, I've only got 5 seconds. Do you want to practice the one word in Spanish that you know to end the segment?
Adios.